Picture this. You just walked into the massive cruise ship buffet. There are endless rows of fresh bread, carving stations, giant bowls of pasta, and a dessert bar that stretches as far as the eye can see. Your brain says, eat everything, but that little voice in the back of your head is terrified of gaining 10 pounds and feeling bloated all week. What if I told you that you don't have to choose between your health and your vacation?
Living the right life, set sail, feel the light. Cruising in the sunrise, heart steering right. Retirement on the ocean, loving every view. Family on the waves, sip sail, repeat anew.
Welcome back to Living the Right Life, the channel where I combine my 4 decades of nursing experience with the joy of traveling and cruising. I'm Edith, and I'm here to help you navigate the high seas with your health completely intact. The cruise buffet is legendary, but it is also the #1 place where passengers derail their metabolism, leading to exhaustion, severe bloating, and major sugar crashes. But it doesn't have to be that way. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to beat the buffet psychology, the medical secrets to flattening your glucose curve while still eating dessert, and the specific foods to avoid if you want to keep your ankles from swelling up like balloons. Let's dig in. Our first major lesson starts before you even pick up a piece of food. When you walk into a cruise ship buffet, your brain is instantly overwhelmed. The sights, the smells, the sheer abundance of food, it triggers a massive rush of dopamine. As a nurse, I can tell you that this visual overload hijacks the logical part of your brain and activates your primal, survival-based hunger hormones, specifically ghrelin. Your instinct is to immediately grab the very first plate you see and start piling on whatever is in front of you. Cruise lines actually understand this psychology perfectly. Have you ever noticed what is usually placed right at the entrance of the buffet? It's almost always the massive bread station, the dinner rolls, the heavy pastas, and the cheap filling carbohydrates. If you grab a plate immediately, you will fill 80% of it with cheap carbs before you even make it back to the high quality proteins or the fresh seafood. Here is my nurse-approved buffet hack, the Reconnaissance mission. When you walk in, put your hands in your pockets. Do not grab a plate. Walk the entire perimeter of the buffet first. Look at every single station. Take a mental inventory of what is actually available today. Decide what you truly want to spend your calories on. If you see they are serving your absolute favorite prime rib or fresh shrimp cocktail at the very back, you won't waste stomach space on a generic dinner roll at the front. By forcing yourself to wait 5 minutes before touching a plate, you allow your logical brain to catch up with your ghrelin spike, putting you in total control of your choices. Now that you know what you want to eat, let's talk about the biological order in which you should eat it. This is one of the most powerful clinical hacks for managing your weight and your energy levels, and almost nobody talks about it. It is not just about what you eat, it is heavily about the sequence in which you eat it. When you sit down with your plate, you must eat your vegetables and dietary fiber first. Why? From a physiological standpoint, when you eat high fiber foods like spinach, broccoli, or a side salad, that fiber travels down into your small intestine and literally coats the intestinal wall in a protective, viscous mesh. Once that fiber mesh is in place, you eat your proteins and fats, like your chicken, fish, or olive oil. These macronutrients trigger your stomach to close the pyloric sphincter, which slows down the rate at which food empties into your intestines. Finally, you eat your carbohydrates and sugars last. Because you have already laid down that protective fiber mesh, and because the protein is slowing down your digestion, the carbohydrates are absorbed into your bloodstream at a much, much slower rate. This completely flattens your glucose curve. You get all the enjoyment of the pasta or the potatoes, but you don't get the massive insulin spike and the terrible, exhausting sugar crash 2 hours later. If you eat the bread first on an empty stomach, you get a violent glucose spike. If you eat the exact same bread after a salad and a piece of fish, your blood sugar stays beautifully stable. Have you ever noticed that by day 3 of a cruise, your shoes feel tight, your rings won't come off your fingers, and your ankles look like tree trunks? Most people blame the heat, but as a medical professional, I can assure you The primary culprit is the buffet's hidden sodium. When cooking for 5,000 people, cruise ship chefs rely heavily on salt to make bulk food taste highly palatable. The soups, the sauces, the gravies, and especially the scrambled eggs at breakfast are absolutely loaded with sodium. When you consume massive amounts of sodium, your body goes into a panic and retains water to dilute that salt and protect your kidneys. Because of gravity, all that excess fluid pools directly in your lower extremities, your feet and ankles. We call this dependent edema. To beat the cruise ship swell, you have to be strategic. First, avoid the soups and heavy sauces. Ask for things plain or grilled whenever possible. Second, you must actively balance your cellular sodium by eating potassium-rich foods. Potassium acts as a natural diuretic that pushes sodium out of your cells. At the breakfast buffet, load up on bananas, spinach, and avocado if they have it. For lunch, grab a sweet potato or some white beans. And as we discussed in our hydration video, drink copious amounts of water. Strangely enough, the only way to get your body to release retained water is to prove to it that you are not in a drought by drinking more water. We have to put my clinical nursing hat back on for a moment to talk about food safety. In our last video, we talked about how to avoid catching the norovirus from the buffet serving tongs. But what about the food itself? Cruise lines have incredibly strict public health standards, but buffets inherently carry a risk because food sits out. In food safety, we talk about the temperature danger zone, which is between 40 degrees and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the temperature range where harmful bacteria multiply exponentially. If hot food gets lukewarm or cold food gets slightly warm, you are entering risky territory. Here are my absolute hard rules for buffet survival. First, skip the mayonnaise-based salads like potato salad, macaroni salad, or coleslaw if they look like they've been sitting out for more than 20 minutes, especially at an outdoor pool buffet. Second, be incredibly wary of lukewarm rice. Uncooked rice contains spores of a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. Cooking doesn't kill the spores, and if the rice sits at room temperature, those spores grow into bacteria that produce toxins, causing severe food poisoning. Always aim for the live action stations, the omelet station, the stir-fry station, or the pasta bar, where the chef cooks the food right in front of you at high heat. That is the safest, freshest food on the entire ship. If you are taking from a standard tray, wait until the crew member brings out a brand new, steaming hot pan from the kitchen. I promised you that you could eat what you want without the guilt, and that absolutely includes the dessert station. You are on vacation, you should enjoy a piece of chocolate cake. The problem isn't eating dessert. The problem is the buffet mentality of taking 5 different full-size desserts just because they are free. Let's talk about how your body processes that much sugar. If you eat a massive plate of various cakes, your pancreas has to flood your system with insulin. Not only does this cause a crash, but when insulin is high, your body is biologically locked into fat storage mode. It is physically impossible for your body to burn fat while insulin levels are peaked. So how do we hack this? First, never eat a dessert on an empty stomach. Always eat it at the end of your meal, taking advantage of the fiber mesh we talked about earlier. Second, implement the 1-bite rule. Take a small plate, walk up to the dessert bar, and pick the 1 or 2 things that look absolutely phenomenal. Bring them back to your table. Take 1 deliberate, mindful bite of each. Savor it. Let the chocolate melt on your tongue. Recognize that the first bite is always the best tasting bite. The second bite is good, but by the third bite, your taste buds are already desensitized to the sugar. Eat the first 2 bites of a beautiful cheesecake and then leave the rest on the plate. You get 100% of the psychological satisfaction and culinary experience, with only 20% of the metabolic damage. You've successfully navigated the buffet, you ate your veggies first, you balanced your sodium, and you enjoyed a few bites of dessert. You feel great. But what you do in the 30 minutes immediately following your meal is the final piece of the survival puzzle. The absolute worst thing you can do after a large buffet meal is go lay completely flat on a lounge chair by the pool. When you lie flat, you increase the risk of acid reflux, and your muscles are totally inactive. Instead, you must utilize a physiological mechanism called postprandial movement. When you take a brisk 10 to 15-minute walk immediately after eating, your skeletal muscles demand energy. To get that energy, your muscles will literally pull glucose directly out of your bloodstream to use as fuel, completely bypassing the need for insulin. By simply walking a few laps around the promenade deck or the jogging track, you are actively burning off the sugar from that dessert before it ever has a chance to turn into stored fat or cause an energy crash. It aids digestion, prevents severe bloating, keeps your joints loose, and gives you a wonderful excuse to enjoy the fresh ocean breeze. If you are ready to conquer the buffet on your next cruise without the guilt or the weight gain, please hit that like button and subscribe to Living the Right Life. Your support means the world to me and helps me keep bringing my nursing tips right to your screen. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is your absolute favorite must-have buffet station when you go on a cruise? Is it the carving station or the dessert bar? Let's chat down in the comments, and make sure your notification bell is turned on, because in our next video, we are tackling a highly requested topic, the ultimate nurse-approved travel medical kit. I'll show you exactly what over-the-counter meds you actually need to pack. You won't want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me be your personal wellness guide today. Remember, you can absolutely enjoy your vacation while still honoring your health. Eat smart, take that post-meal walk, and keep living the right life. See you out on the deck.